eternal spiritual identity, who you really are beyond this life. Imagine waking up one day and realizing that everything you thought you were, your name, your story, your struggles, your achievements, was just a temporary identity, a character you were playing in a vast cosmic drama. What if I told you that the version of yourself that you wake up to every morning, the one that worries about the future, that carries the weight of the past, that identifies with a body and a name, is only a fraction of who you truly are? What if everything you've believed about yourself was just a mask, a role you agreed to play in this lifetime, while the real you, the eternal, infinite you, has existed far beyond this one life? Most people live their entire existence trapped in the illusion of their temporary self. They believe they are their body, their mind, their emotions. They define themselves by their successes and failures, their relationships, their possessions. They spend their lives trying to perfect this character, trying to make it more acceptable, more lovable, more successful, never realizing that this character is not who they truly are. It's just a temporary vessel, an avatar, a costume you put on to experience this particular version of reality. But deep down, something inside you knows the truth. That's why, even when you achieve everything you thought would bring happiness, there is still an emptiness, a longing for something more, because the soul remembers.
Click subscribe to this channel to get more profound spiritual lesson.
Have you ever had a moment where you felt completely detached from your own identity? Where you looked in the mirror and felt like a stranger? Where you questioned whether you were really the person you had been told you were? These moments are glimpses of the deeper truth. They are cracks in the illusion, invitations to remember who you were before the world told you who to be. And if you follow that feeling, if you truly allow yourself to question everything, you will begin to unravel the greatest mystery of all, your eternal spiritual identity. But here's the paradox. In order to remember who you truly are, you must first let go of everything you think you are. You must be willing to question your deepest assumptions about reality. You must be willing to let go of the need for external validation, for worldly success, for approval from others, because all of these things belong to the temporary self. They are part of the illusion, the game, the experience. The real you does not need them. The real you has always existed beyond them. So what happens when you start peeling back the layers? What happens when you go beyond the body, beyond the mind, beyond even the emotions that seem so real? You begin to notice something extraordinary. You begin to realize that beneath all of it, there is an awareness that has never changed. The same awareness that was present when you were a child, when you were a teenager, when you were an adult. The body changed, the thoughts changed, the beliefs changed, but the awareness remained. That awareness is you. That is your eternal self. That is the part of you that existed before this life and will continue to exist long after it. But if you are not your body, not your thoughts, not your story, then what are you? This is the question that has haunted mystics, philosophers, and seekers for centuries. And the answer is something that cannot be understood with the mind alone. It must be experienced. You are pure consciousness, infinite and formless. You are the observer, the witness, the presence behind all experiences. You are not inside this world is inside you. Your body is not something you are, it is something you are experiencing. Your mind is not something you are, it is something you are using. And the moment you begin to truly grasp this, everything changes. Because once you realize who you truly are, fear begins to dissolve. Fear of death, fear of failure, fear of rejection, these fears belong to the temporary self. The eternal self knows there is nothing to lose because it has always existed and will always exist. The eternal self does not cling to material things because it knows they are just part of the passing dream. And the most powerful realization of all, The eternal self does not seek happiness because it is happiness. It is peace. It is love. It is everything you have been searching for outside of yourself. So now I ask you, if you are not your body, not your thoughts, not your story, then who are you? What remains when you strip away everything temporary? What is left when you remove the illusion of the self you have been taught to believe in? Because once you begin to answer this question, once you begin to truly experience your eternal nature not just as a concept, but as a living reality, you will see that everything you thought was real was only a tiny fragment of the truth. And that truth is waiting for you to remember. The infinite you breaking free from the illusions that keep you trapped in a false identity. Most people live their entire lives believing they are limited. They believe they are their body, their past experiences, their roles in society. They believe they are bound by time, by circumstance, by the expectations imposed upon them. But what if none of those things truly define you? What if the identity you have spent so many years building is nothing more than a carefully constructed illusion, a temporary mask worn by something far greater? To begin to truly grasp your eternal identity, you must first break free from the conditioning that has kept you small. From the moment you were born, you were given a name, a nationality, a set of beliefs, a structure for how to think, what to value, what to fear. You were told what was possible, what was impossible, what was real, what was not. Slowly, you were shaped into a version of yourself that fit into the world around you. And yet, beneath all of that conditioning, something deeper remained untouched. A part of you that was never molded by the world. A part of you that has always existed beyond it. Have you ever felt an unexplainable longing, a sense that there is something more to life than what you have been told? That feeling is not random. It is the voice of your eternal self trying to break through the layers of illusion. It is the reminder that you were never meant to live a life of limitation. That you were never meant to believe you were just this body, just this mind, just this fleeting story. The real you is infinite. The real you existed before this life and will continue long after it. The real you is not bound by time, by space, by anything at all. But here is the challenge. The mind does not want to accept this truth. The mind is deeply attached to its identity. It wants to believe that it is in control, that it has everything figured out. It clings to its fears, its desires, its attachments, because to let go of them would mean stepping into the unknown. And yet, that is exactly what must happen. To truly experience your eternal nature, you must be willing to let go of everything you think you are. And that is terrifying for most people. Because if you are not your name, not your story, not your thoughts, then who are you? This is where most seekers hesitate. Instead of surrendering to the truth, they try to intellectualize it. They read books, study philosophies, collect spiritual knowledge, but none of that is enough. Because your eternal identity is not something you can understand with the mind. It is something you must experience directly. It is something you must awaken to, something you must feel in the deepest part of your being. And that awakening does not come through thinking. It comes through stillness, through silence, through peeling away every illusion until only the essence of your true self remains. I think about this. When you close your eyes and let go of every thought, what is left? When you stop identifying with your emotions, your memories, your physical form, what remains? There is something there, something unshakable, something that has never changed no matter how much your external life has. That presence, that awareness, that silent observer, it is you. Not the small self, not the temporary self, but the eternal self. And once you truly connect with it, everything else begins to dissolve. Fear loses its grip because you realize there is nothing to lose. Anxiety fades because you see that time is just an illusion, that you are not moving toward an end, you are simply moving through different experiences. Attachments fall away because you understand that nothing in this world can define you, that all of it is temporary, that you are only here to experience, to grow, to expand. The moment you awaken to this, your entire perception of life shifts. You stop playing small. You stop living in fear. You stop chasing things that were never meant to fulfill you. And instead, you start living from a place of absolute freedom. So ask yourself, what if everything you have been searching for has been within you all along? What if the peace, the love, the fulfillment you long for is not something you need to attain, but something you need to remember? Because the truth is, you are already everything you are trying to become. You are already whole, already infinite, already eternal. The only thing standing in the way is the illusion that you are something less. And the moment you let go of that illusion, you will step into the greatest realization of all: you were never lost. You were never incomplete. You have always been exactly what you were meant to be. You just needed to remember. Awakening from the dream, how to transcend the illusion and live as your eternal self. The greatest illusion ever created is the belief that you are separate from others, from the universe, from your true self. This illusion is so deeply embedded in human experience that most people never question it. They live their entire lives believing they are just a single individual, moving through time, struggling to survive, searching for meaning. But what if I told you that this entire experience, everything you see, everything you feel, everything you think, is part of a grand dream? A dream so detailed, so immersive, that you forgot it was a dream at all. I think about the moments when you are asleep. In your dreams, everything feels real. When you are running, your heart beats faster. When you fall, you feel fear. When something wonderful happens, you feel joy. But the moment you wake up, you realize none of it was real, at least not in the way you thought. The same thing is happening right now. You are inside a dream, but it is a waking dream. A dream where you have been given a temporary identity, a body, a name, a history, so that you can experience this reality as if it were the only one. But who is the dreamer? Who is the one experiencing all of this? The answer is you, but not the you that you have been conditioned to believe in. Not the human identity that you call yourself. The real you, the eternal self, is the one dreaming this entire experience. You are not a separate being stuck in a world outside of your control. You are the consciousness that is creating this world moment by moment. Every experience you have, every person you meet, every challenge you face is all part of the dream you are creating for yourself. But the difference between being lost in the dream and waking up within it is awareness. When you are unconscious of your true nature, you move through life reacting, struggling, fearing, suffering. But the moment you recognize that you are the dreamer, everything changes. This is what enlightenment truly is. It is not about escaping life, renouncing everything, or spending years in a cave meditating. It is simply the realization that you are not the character in the story, you are the one writing it. You are not the body, you are the awareness inside it. You are not the thoughts, you are the space in which thoughts appear and disappear. And once you see this, you cannot unsee it. The illusion begins to crumble, and in its place, a deeper truth emerges. But even when we begin to wake up, the pull of the illusion is strong. The mind, conditioned for so many years to believe in separation, tries to pull you back in. It tells you that you are still small, still powerless, still just a person trying to make it through life. And if you believe it, you fall back into the dream. You go back to chasing things outside of yourself, back to seeking fulfillment in temporary things, back to identifying with the fears and limitations of the false self. This is why true awakening must be more than just an intellectual realization. It must be something you live, something you embody in every moment. So how do you do that? How do you live as your eternal self while still existing in this temporary world? The first step is to shift your focus from the external to the internal. Most people spend their entire lives looking outward, seeking success, relationships, experiences, possessions believing that these things will bring them happiness. But nothing outside of you can ever give you the fulfillment you seek, because everything outside of you is part of the dream. The only way to experience true peace, true joy, true freedom is to turn inward, to recognize that everything you have ever searched for is already within you. The second step is to stop identifying with the fluctuations of the mind and emotions. Our thoughts will come and go, emotions will rise and fall, but none of them are you. They are just passing clouds in the sky of your awareness. When you attach to them, when you believe they define you, you get lost in them. But when you observe them without attachment, without judgment, you begin to see that they are just temporary forms arising and dissolving within your infinite presence. You are not the waves, you are the ocean. And the third step is perhaps the most important: you must trust. Trust that you are exactly where you are meant to be. Trust that everything unfolding in your life, even the challenges, even the struggles, is part of the awakening process. Every difficulty is an opportunity to remember who you are. Every loss is a reminder that nothing in this world is permanent. Every moment of suffering is a chance to let go of illusion and return to truth. The more you trust, the less you resist. And the less you resist, the more you flow with life instead of fighting against it. So now ask yourself, if I am not this body, not this mind, not this temporary identity, then what am I? What happens when I stop attaching to the dream and start remembering that I am the one dreaming? Because the moment you truly understand this, everything changes. The fear of death disappears because you realize you were never truly born. The fear of failure vanishes because you see that life itself is just an experience, not a test. The need for external validation dissolves because you recognize that you are already complete. And in that moment of awakening, you do not disappear from the world, you become more present than ever. You still play the game, still experience life, still engage with others, but now you do it from a place of freedom, from a place of joy, from a place of knowing that none of it can truly define you. You live not as a person struggling to survive, but as a conscious being fully awake within the dream. And that is the greatest liberation of all. Living as the infinite, how to embody your eternal self in everyday life. Once you recognize that you are not just this body, not just this mind, not just this fleeting story, a profound shift begins to take place. But awakening is not just about realizing the truth, it is about living it. Many people have glimpses of their eternal nature, moments of deep clarity where they see beyond the illusion, but then they fall back into old patterns, into the dream of separation, into the conditioned mind that pulls them toward fear, attachment, and suffering. The real transformation happens when you take this understanding and integrate it into your daily life, when you stop treating enlightenment as a distant goal and start embodying it in every moment. But how do you do that? How do you live as an infinite being while still existing in a world of limitations? The key is to shift the way you engage with reality. Most people live their lives in reaction mode, constantly responding to external circumstances, allowing their emotions and thoughts to dictate their experience. But when you awaken to your true nature, you no longer move through life unconsciously. You begin to act from a place of deep awareness, from a place of presence, from a place of knowing that you are not just in this world, you are creating it. Every thought, every emotion, every action is an extension of your consciousness shaping the reality around you. And the more you align with this truth, the more your external world begins to reflect the freedom, peace, and love that already exists within you. This does not mean that challenges will disappear. Life will still present difficulties, losses, moments of uncertainty. But the difference is that you will no longer be controlled by them. You will see them not as obstacles, but as invitations to deepen your awareness. When something triggers you, instead of reacting, you will pause and observe. Instead of getting lost in fear or anger, you will step back and ask, who is feeling this, who is observing this emotion. And in that moment of inquiry, you will see that the emotions, the thoughts, the experiences are all temporary, but the one witnessing them is eternal. That is you. That has always been you. When you live from this place, fear loses its grip. You stop making decisions based on scarcity, on the fear of loss, on the need for control. Instead, you start flowing with life. You trust the unfolding of your journey. You stop resisting what is and start embracing it fully. And in doing so, you open yourself to possibilities beyond anything the limited mind could have imagined. Because when you no longer operate from fear, you begin to move in alignment with the intelligence of the universe itself. You begin to experience synchronicities, unexpected opportunities, effortless manifestations of the things you truly need, not from a place of desperation, but from a place of knowing that you are always supported. And here is the greatest secret. When you stop looking for fulfillment outside of yourself, you naturally radiate a presence that transforms everything around you. People will begin to sense something different about you, not because of what you say, but because of the energy you carry. You will no longer be seeking love, because you will have become love. You will no longer be chasing happiness, because you will have realized that happiness is your natural state. You will no longer be afraid of the unknown, because you will know, beyond any doubt, that you are not moving toward an end, you are simply moving through infinite experiences, forever expanding, forever unfolding. So ask yourself now, what would my life look like if I no longer lived in fear? What choices would I make if I knew, without a doubt, that I am eternal, that I am infinite, that I am not bound by anything? Because that is the truth. You have never been small. You have never been powerless. You have simply been conditioned to forget. But now you remember. And once you remember, you cannot go back to the way things were. You can only step forward into a life of absolute freedom, into a reality where you are no longer just surviving, you are fully awake, fully alive, fully embodied as the infinite being you have always been.